Hey, George.
I'm having a great day.
Great. I am too. How are you, Dan?
Oh, it's a lovely day.
It is
Here in the
lovely
beautiful state
day.
of Texas.
Oh yeah, you've got a bunch of visitors coming to Austin.
Oh, I don't go to Austin. My sisters have warned me against it. I've only been back for a week. They're like, don't go to Austin. It is crazy because when I was growing up, that's one of the places we used to always hang out. Hey, Brandon, let me go ahead and kill this intro, right?
Yep, go ahead.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DB Presents the Underground News. Today we have George from BLACPAC. His specialty is helping Black conservatives get elected to office in Florida.
All around the country.
All around the country, and I might actually need you to help me, George.
Okay.
So, one of the things is being a Black conservative. I'm pretty sure you've gotten it. I've gotten it plenty of times. Have you ever got called the ultimate phrase in the Black culture, Uncle Tom?
I know it just happened today. Losing my charger, guys.
I'm sorry.
My wife steals my charger all the time too.
It's okay. I'll re-ask the question. So, George,
No.
I know I've gotten it.
Not in a while. I know it just happened today. Who got called Uncle Tom today? Somebody.
Larry Elder?
Yeah, Larry Elder. Larry
got
Elder.
called the black face of white supremacy.
Yeah, that's a nice way of saying it. But Larry Elder's been around a long time. He's earned a lot of respect. And one of the things I've learned is you can't take stuff like that seriously. What happens is when you become a threat, when you become a serious threat to the system, like a Larry Elder, Jennifer Carroll in Florida, who was lieutenant governor, Elbert Guillory, that's the first word that comes out because there's no other defense because you're good. When you're that good, people are afraid of you. So they're threatened. So you're called Uncle Tom, you're called a token because there's nothing else they can call you. And of course, they won't say it to your face. So
I should take being called a white supremacist as a badge of honor.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't even, words like that, words don't hurt me. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words never hurt me. But Larry Elder should take it as that he's become a threat to the system of the people who want to stay in power. And those people who are in power are working both sides of the aisle. And that's the other thing. And yes. As a Black conservative, you're a true conservative. You really believe in education. You really are pro-life. You really are for a closed border. Those are the things that you stand for. You really are for the Second Amendment. Now, there's a lot of people who are playing that they're conservatives, but when they get called out on it, it's not true. So you have someone like a Larry Elder and others out there who I wish I could name that are true conservatives. So that's it means nothing. It's a threat. It's worth another 5% of the electorate right now. So,
that could be a lot right there. That could be that's all you need.
Well, no, I actually don't think so, Brandon. I think if what the liberals are doing now, if you're a liberal and you want to get elected, you're going to need a lot more than 5%. Crime is going up. I mean, George, I understand me and Brandon are I'm from Texas. Okay. I lived in Washington 20 years.
Okay.
Brandon's from Washington. I understand you lived a while in Washington.
I lived in Washington, D.C. I grew up in Washington, D.C.
Oh, you grew up in D.C.?
Wrong Washington.
So if you could tell me what led you to flee Washington, D.C., move to Florida, and start the BLACPAC. And what is the BLACPAC about?
Okay. What happened is I was a very successful mortgage banker in Washington, D.C. I owned the second largest mortgage banking operation in Washington, D.C. It was known as Morgan Investments. I bought it from a banker. We existed during the S&Ls, when S&Ls, savings and loans, existed. Mm-hmm. The savings and loans were shut down, which pretty much shut down access to capital. As a matter of fact, on the corner where I was, right at the Silver Spring Metro Station, a block away or 2 blocks away, was a bank called Maryland Savings Bank. I didn't know they were shut down, and they were my source of capital. Them and Household Finance Corporation financed all the mortgages that came out of my office. Oh, wow. Household Finance is still in business. And I did so much business with Household Finance, they just gave me a line of credit. So with all the mortgages, and this is when mortgages were 7%, 8%, 9%, adjustable rate mortgages, all this crazy stuff. Anyway, the SNLs got shut down, to make a long story short. So I decided, my father had passed. I decided, I'm leaving Washington. There's nothing for me to do here. But I grew up around a lot of politicians. I grew up knowing a lot of politicians. And back then, black Democrats were conservative. They would never believe what black Democrats believe today. If you told a black Democrat like a Marion Barry, which people know because he was famous for getting caught, being in the FBI sting, if you told them what these Democrats believe today, they would turn over in their grave. Probably they are turning over in their grave. So
could you imagine telling a Martin Luther King that nope, the family unit shouldn't exist. Nope, you have to get away from religion. Nope, you can't worship. Could you imagine?
No.
Or Malcolm X. Try to tell Malcolm X that.
But yeah, it's any of the 60s, 70s, 80s black Democrats.
No.
They're not going to buy it. It's not going to work.
They're not going to buy this. They're not going to buy this. As a matter of fact, they would have gone in and told Biden that whoever our president is that his name?
Yeah, sure.
Don't feel bad. He can't remember his name.
You're going to bring our soldiers home, and you're going to bring all of them home, and you're going to bring back every single American. So anyway, I left Washington because the SNLs folded, and that was my source of capital. Moved to Florida, opened a very successful restaurant on St. Pete Beach, Paso Grill Beach, called Barracudas. And what happened is when I opened the restaurant, they didn't understand that I was black. They didn't know I was black when I opened the restaurant. They didn't know until I showed up as the owner of a restaurant. And what I did is I opened what would be called a K Street restaurant, a downtown restaurant directly on the beach. And the patrons of this restaurant would be Derek Brooks, and they would order double surf and turf. I swear to God, I couldn't imagine the food they would eat. So Derek Brooks
is a big boy.
Yeah, Derek.
For all of you that don't know, Derek Brooks is a former linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah,
I've met him. He's a big boy.
Well, he would show up, and Tony Dungy would show up with his wife. So it became a date restaurant on the beach. It wasn't just a beach restaurant. It was a place where you took your wife for a day at the beach. And so it became a very upscale restaurant. And the state of Florida didn't realize I was black until they showed up one day and saw me there. And they said, and everybody said, that's the owner. Anyway,
Republicans.
Yeah, a Republican guy owns the beach restaurant. So anyway, the restaurant was closed, was shut down is a lawsuit called DEP versus G Sandcastle. And I got mad. And at the time, the governor who shut it down, his name was Lawton Childs. I'm making the story too long.
No, you're not. I actually want you to drag it out because hold up. That's not a Republican.
No, he's a
Democrat.
And his nickname was the He-Coon. Proudly, people called him the He-Coon.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, you got to be joking me. George, you got to be joking. So tell me that's not a real thing. Please just say, hey, Dan, that's not a real thing.
Yeah, if someone wants you to call them a coon and that's their name, they're probably a redneck.
Oh, Jesus.
So anyway, the He Coon shut down my restaurant because I was hurting his son's restaurant, which is on the other side of the bay. And I got mad. And the He Coon had just beat Jeb Bush in a debate. And here's what happened in this debate. This debate was recorded by the St. Pete Times, and I went to the debate. And Jeb Bush and Lawton Childs was in this debate on the stage, St. Pete, whatever it was. Anyway, they asked Lawton Childs, they said, do you two have anything to say? Jeb Bush was there. And this is the election he lost. He lost the first election. He lost the first election just barely. And the moderator said, do you have any last statement? Jeb Bush said, no. The He Coon said, the He Coon rises early in the morning. And Jeb Bush had this puzzled look on his face. Like, what the heck does that mean? What it meant was, go steal them ballots because this boy about to beat me. So,
They don't do any mail.
Of course, you do understand, we can't question ballot counts.
we can't question.
We can't question them because, you know, every election has always been tamper-proof.
Yeah, 100% up and up.
It was on the up and up. So anyway, Lawton Childs won the election. A couple months later, he actually died in office. His vice president, his other guy, and we went at it again with Jeb Bush. And I convinced, this is all true stories, I convinced Rudy Bradley, who was a Black Democrat state representative from St. Petersburg. I convinced Rudy Bradley. I convinced Les Miller, who was also a Democrat. I convinced Rudy Bradley to switch to the Republican Party. I convinced Les Miller to endorse Jeb Bush. This is all based on education and funding in Black communities, because there was none. There was
could you extrapolate on that? Could you draw that out for me?
There is the state of Florida, and later on people verified for this, operated Black communities with no funding and white communities with full funding. So if you go to a white area, it was beautiful, palm trees. As a matter of fact, you could tell if you were in a Black community by when the palm trees actually stopped, because there were no palm trees in the Black community. So if you're driving along and the palm tree stopped, you probably need to turn around. So.
Well, see, that's one of the things I keep saying. Even with this last election, when Biden was elected, all I saw was on my Facebook, my older aunties and stuff talking about chucks and pearls for Kamala Harris. And I'm telling them, no, she's not Black. She's half Jamaican and half Indian. She has nothing to do with the Black culture. There's no way you were listening to Tupac in 1989. Because I'm a hardcore Tupac fan. As a matter of fact, I have several t-shirts. We just moved from Washington to Texas. The old lady tried to get me to leave my Tupac shirts behind. I'm like, nope, that's not going to happen. So I know Tupac's videography when everything came out, but they're talking about chucks and pearls. I'm like, she's lying to you. Hillary Clinton, when she's on, what show was it? The Breakfast Club.
Yeah.
What do you always carry in your purse? A bottle of hot sauce. Nobody carries a bottle of hot sauce in their purse, not even Black people. Really? I don't go around everywhere with a bottle of hot sauce.
You sure don't. So I convinced the Black Democrats, because they weren't getting any money out of Tallahassee, the capital, from the Democrats, to vote Jeb. I said, you got to give Jeb a chance in his second election. So Jeb Bush wins the second election. He's endorsed by major Black Democrats, Les Miller, Rudy Bradley, and a few others. And in Tallahassee, and that's the point that Florida becomes red. Before that, Florida was blue for a long time. So
see, no, I did not know that.
Yeah, Florida was red. They took it for advantage. They ran two school systems. There was no funding for Black communities. Even in Miami, the Black community looked horrible. I mean, if you went to the in Miami, no palm trees again. As a matter of fact, the Black community in Miami didn't even have curbs.
Oh, Jesus.
So
Really?
if you were driving around the Black community in Miami, there's no curbs. And if you ask the water department they'll tell you, oh, it's because if we have curbs here, it will flood. No, curbs prevent flooding because they take the water to a sewer. So all around Florida, Black communities were really, really horrible places to live. And the schools were not even funded. So anyway, Jeb gets elected. He brings in his charter school agenda, which we still use today. He's probably pretty much the father of charter schools. And while I'm in Rudy Bradley's office, maybe a week later or so, the phone rings. And he says, George, Jeb Bush is on the phone. He's asked me what I want. I said, tell him you want Florida A&M to get their law school back. Because Florida, this goes into another story about why Martin Luther King didn't go into Florida. Florida A&M didn't have a law school. And the law in Florida at the time was that you could not practice law unless you had a law degree from a Florida school. So you couldn't practice law in Florida unless you graduated from a Florida law school. So in Florida A&M, their law school was stolen and left them and went to Florida State. So Florida State had Florida A&M's law school. You can all verify this. I know this comes from.
This is mind blowing, George. This is mind blowing. I did not. You're inspiring. You're putting so much knowledge out there that I'm pretty sure I didn't know.
Yeah. So what happened is Florida A&M got their law school back. Now the deal was the law school was supposed to go to Les Miller's district, which was Tampa. But the building that they picked out was an old jail where they used to beat Black people. So the neighborhood protested, said, no, we don't want the law school. But that building was a block from the courthouse. So the students would have had access direct to the courthouse. Once that happened, Orlando spoke up and stole the law school. So the Florida A&M Law School went to a rented building in Orlando because the people in Tampa didn't like the building. This is the things you have to deal with when you're dealing with the community in Florida. So a couple of weeks later, there was a Boys and Girls Club that Jeb Bush came to visit in South St. Pete. And he bought us a $40,000 check to put two 10-ton air conditioners on this Boys and Girls Club in South St. Pete.
Now, so I'm pretty sure that was well covered by CNN, right?
No, it wasn't covered at all. Nothing. So not only were we bringing education to Florida, we were bringing community resources that the community never had. And this was being done by a Republican governor. And the Democrats just ignored it and didn't pay attention to it. And this was the major change that turned Florida red and has kept Florida red. And right now we have to work even harder to keep Florida red. We have to start integrating the party. We need to have more Blacks, Latin, and Asians in all offices, school boards, county commissions, and even state offices. So we need to work harder at that. As a super PAC, I'm not allowed. I'm only supposed to do congressional offices, but our influence goes far and wide. So we're really good in Florida, and we helped a lot in Florida, and we turn it around, and we hope we can keep it that way because DeSantis only won by 40,000 votes last time, and 100,000 of those were Black women. So we're getting close to the edge.
And that was one of the things I was talking to my father yesterday. I was like, you know what? I just moved to College Station. I've been here for a week. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna run for College Station City Council. I think I told you this, Brandon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna run for City Council. You know, it's time to get involved and bring people to a higher level of understanding. You can't just vote Democrat because they're Democrats. We've been getting warned about that. We got warned about that by Martin, by Malcolm, Frederick Douglass, even going way back.
Yes.
Even going way back about just voting Democrat. You can't just
vote.
you have to think. You have to think. And if they don't have your First Amendment and Second Amendment rights in mind, don't vote for them.
If they don't have your education in mind. I mean,
Yeah.
we're doing critical race theory right now. I think we're going to end up doing a series on critical race theory because that's very important, because the education throughout the South is so different from the education throughout the North. And people are finding it out as they move from North to South. There's a major difference. There are some states that don't teach anything about Native Americans.
Oh, really?
So
from Washington, the critical race theory's already invaded the schools. They're already teaching it up there. And
Wow.
I'm so glad my daughter's 24. She's on her own, doing her own thing, because I would lose my mind. You're not going to teach my daughter she's a victim, and that only it's a syndrome. It's called the white savior syndrome.
Yeah.
I have to save you. No, leave me alone. Stay over there. Stay over there. If you can't be an equal partner, stay over there somewhere. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah. So we've done a lot. We still have a lot to do with BLACPAC. We still have to, we laid the groundwork. I think part of the things is we laid the groundwork for Larry Elder in California, because we were involved in the races of Kim and Young. Young Kim, I always get the Young name backwards. We were involved in both of those races.
I just got a message from Young Kim.
Oh, wow.
I used to live in Washington. Yeah, I just got a message from her.
We were involved in, I'm always forgetting her name in Georgia, but her district, 50% of her district is Hispanic. So we messaged her district in Spanish. What's her name? Who's very, very out there from Georgia, the congresswoman. Why am I forgetting her name?
I don't know.
Valerie. So we've helped elect Congress people in Georgia. We're hoping to win the lieutenant governor's race in Virginia. I think we've got that one. There's a congressional race in Ohio, District 11. We're involved in that one. I think we've got a better shot than we did 2 months ago, because the president has pretty much given us a gift. If we can come together as a party, we can actually win 2022 and probably win 60 or more seats across the country, or even more, if we can come together as a party. But I'm going to say this, and you guys can disagree with me. We need a new chair with the GOP.
Oh, we by far. I'm
going to clap for you. I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm actually going to clap for you.
The whole reason we're in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
The whole reason we're in this situation. We could have maintained, but
if you know someone's going to steal your car, if you have a very attractive car, you put a lock bar on it and an alarm. If you go around 4 months talking about they're going to steal the election, well, why don't you stop it? So I don't understand.
Did you hear what Biden said? He said it doesn't matter who votes, it matters who counts the votes. And this is like a month after the election. And I'm like,
I was probably more honest than he's ever been.
Well, that's like the Hikun. Hey, the Hikun rises early in the morning.
So with all this election fraud, I mean, what can you do?
Well,
because I'm going to say it's election fraud.
It's election fraud. We need, and I would go for chair. The chairwoman from Arizona, I like her a lot, Kelly Ward. I really like Kelly Ward. I would like her to be the next chair of the Republican Party.
I don't know much about Kelly
Ward. Yeah, she's really sharp. She's the one who started the count in Arizona. The recount in Arizona is still going on.
Okay.
But now you see that's being delayed because of COVID.
Yeah. She's the one who had the nerve to start the recount in the first place. No one else would do it. So Kelly Ward's the only one to do it. To me, she's earned the chairmanship of the Republican National Committee. So if we could get her in there and get this current Romney out the way, a lot more people would show up in the party, and we would have landslides all over the place.
I can't stand Romney. Can't stand him.
Well,
I hate the whole entire state of Utah. I just drove through it. I hate it. Utah sucks.
What's his name? Trump could fired her at the Florida winter meetings. He didn't fire her. I don't know why. I thought he was going to fire her. He could have fired her and been done with her. But I guess she convinced him because so much money was coming in, but it was coming in for Trump, not for her, that she should stay. And I'm pretty sure she worked with the Democrats to make sure that we got rid of Trump. So I'm not sure how this is going to shape up. I'm hoping Byron Donalds becomes a player. I like what he's doing down in Florida. He's down there in Sarasota, Naples. I like Brian Mass. Brian Mass is another person we helped get elected in Florida. He's actually Mexican.
Okay.
He doesn't have any legs. His legs were blown off in Afghanistan.
I think I've seen him on Fox News.
Yeah, you've seen him on Fox News. He's another sharp guy that we helped get elected, and we like him a lot. I'm still trying to remember the woman's name in Georgia, which I can't remember, and I should.
Cynthia?
What's her name?
Cynthia.
No, not Cynthia. What's the congressman from Atlanta? I don't have.
I'm
I can't
looking.
look.
I'm looking. Google that.
But no, so like even like with Kim Kilsick out in Minnesota, I think we're so outnumbered in blue states and blue cities.
Mm-hmm.
People are retreating. That's my story. I said, hey, I'm done. And even my wife, who's hardcore liberal, right? She's from Seattle. It's always been liberal. We were going to transition to Texas over the course of 2 years, and things just got so bad in Washington State. She sent me on the road. She's like, we have to go now. We'll be gone by September. You need to get over there, get a place. You need to go. And I'm like,
what was it? Black Lives Matter took over the government?
Yes, they did. Remember, we were going to have the summer of love. You want to hear something funny, George? I actually went to Chop Chas, right?
Uh-huh.
So I went there, and it was a white friend of mine named Cooper, a black friend of mine named John. Actually got tricked into it by this other white friend who went with us. His name was Kevin. I have two friends named Kevin on my Facebook. I didn't think nothing about it, right? One of my friends, Kevin, lives in North Carolina. It's one of those nights, it's a party night. So I'm talking to Kevin in North Carolina. He's like, you shouldn't judge Chop Chas. He's hardcore Republican, right? He goes, I'm thinking, you know what? That makes sense. He's like, if you want to go, I'll go with you. But it was actually my friend Kevin in Washington State. So we ended up going. You know how many black people were at Chop Chas?
How many?
3. Me, the black guy I brought with me, and another black guy that walked around with us the whole time.
Okay.
The rest were young white people smoking weed.
Oh my God.
That's what Chop Chas was. It was ridiculous. Ridiculous.
So I take legal. You know who it is? It's I find Marjorie Taylor Greene in Georgia.
Oh, she has some stones.
Her district is 50% Hispanic. What I'm afraid of is they may not come out for her if she doesn't serve them. But her district is actually 50% Hispanic. Actually, the truth is, from Florida to Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, and even some northern states, the country has turned 30 to 40% Black, Latin, and Asian. So we have to win those votes.
Yes.
We can't just let them go. The Republican Party can't just win with all white voters anymore. It's not going to happen.
Well, it should happen.
George, you do understand that if you don't vote for Joe Biden, you're not black.
Yeah, I do understand. But the only thing the Democrats can say now is that Republicans are racist. We're not racist, but we need to do better to get folks in office and get them elected. Here's who we're pushing. So I just turned the page. Laverne Gore is November 3rd. Laverne Gore is Ohio CD 11. She's hardcore Republican. And I think she's got a better chance than she did 2 months ago. So we can pick up that congressional seat. And then the other one is Winsome Sears, who is running for Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. Those are the only 2 races we're really involved in this year where we're pushing for candidates because there's not too much out there this year. next year is going to be a lot. We hope to be involved. And of course, we want to keep Florida red. We're going to do Louisiana. We got Elbert Guillory there, who's working with us. We got Mississippi. We've got a reverend that's running for a local office that we hope to have elected that's going to work with us to keep Mississippi red. So we're working all throughout the South. In Texas, of course, we've got, I've got some guys who, Alan West, I do know. I don't know as well as I should. I did meet him in Washington when he was a congressman. Then they moved a seat on him and he lost in Florida, moved to Texas. Now he's running for governor. A lot of my followers in Texas think he should have ran for Congress and not governor. But we'll see what we can do. I think we can win this because, you know, when you pick on somebody's wife who's driving, is not drunk,
right?
And you actually put them in handcuffs, that is so dirty. That is low. And I can say that because before I owned the mortgage company, I was a cop for 3 years in DC. And I know if you do something that dirty to somebody's wife, you don't deserve to be in office. I mean, the sheriff needs to, I heard he had a press conference. I didn't look at his press conference yet. But there's nothing lower than picking on someone else's family.
So this happened to Alan West?
No, they locked up his wife. His wife left a lunch where she had water and tea. And as she was driving, she was stopped by a sheriff who arrested her because the breathalyzer didn't register any alcohol. So they took her in for a blood test.
Oh, wow.
So,
see, this is stuff you're not going to hear on like CNN. You're not going to hear this on national news. This is why YouTube channels are so valuable.
Yes, this was not on national news, but this happened Sunday. So this happened just this week. So in order to embarrass Alan West and his family, the current guy, I'm sure this came from the governor, they locked his wife up for drunk driving, hoping that she was drunk, which means they've been following her and him. So they're following both of them.
Wow.
So they're wasting resources to follow Alan West and his wife around Texas, waiting for them to slip up. And they haven't slipped up. And Alan West, you know, he's been mad about this. But these are the dirty tricks that they play on you when you're a Black Republican.
Well, and that's the thing, I think, to describe to a lot of people who Alan West is. Understand, Alan West is a retired Army officer, decorated combat veteran, Republican, and he's not been shy about it. And if you listen to him, he's very sharp. He catches everything.
Yes.
Put it like this: if Biden had put Alan West on his team, we wouldn't have pulled out of Afghanistan like we did. Alan West is very sharp.
Well, we gave Afghanistan away. Let's face it.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah.
I mean, we
billions of dollars worth of military equipment, and I've been. Well, Brandon knows I've been to combat 4 times.
Okay.
You never pull out the civilians before you pull out the combat troops. We were always last to come out.
Yeah.
So I don't know why the combat troops were the first to come out on this one. It was, but no, to try to embarrass Alan West like that, because like we were talking about earlier in the show.
Yeah.
Alan West is a threat.
He's a threat.
He's a very big threat. I would not want to face, there's very few people I wouldn't want to face in a debate. Candace Owens, Ben Shapiro, and Alan West.
All right. Yeah. You know, if you know Candace Owens, she's got to get back on track. I think she's a little off track right now.
Well, she just had the baby and everything, so she's.
Oh, okay. That's what it is. Okay.
You know, so she's.
Now I understand.
Yeah.
Not off track. She's off track. I hate to see. In DC, we had this thing because we love to eat crabs in a barrel, which crabs are pulling each other down.
Yeah.
Right. Her and Kim are going on each other like crabs in a barrel. And that's
I was thinking the same thing when we were talking earlier. So for those of you who don't understand, Candace Owens in the Minnesota, Kim Kelchak, who ran for representative out of Minnesota.
No, it's Baltimore. She ran in Baltimore.
What was it, Baltimore?
Yeah.
They started going at each other, and it's like,
yeah.
No, there's only a few Black conservatives. We can't afford to do that. Stop that. No, but I felt the same way. And it's like, whoa, stop. No.
I don't want to know her dirt. I don't want to know, and I don't want you to tell it.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like I listen to you, Kim or Candace Owens is very sharp.
Yeah.
Kim Kelchak is very sharp. Form a pack, get in together, and push, because Baltimore's been crap since I was a kid. Hell, I'm 47. Nobody wants to go. There's certain cities nobody wants to go to. Detroit, Chicago, Baltimore.
Well, I used to love Baltimore because from Washington, it's a 60-mile drive. It's a beautiful sister. They had the inner harbor. You could hang out at the harbor all day with seafood. You didn't go in inner city Baltimore, but they actually had to move the stadium because it was too dangerous to drive to the stadium.
Oh, geez.
Whoa, what? Hold on. Say that again, George. Hold up. The Baltimore Ravens stadium? They moved it because it was too dangerous?
Yeah. It was too dangerous. They moved it further out.
You got to be joking me.
And 40% of their 40% of the crowd was coming from Washington, D.C. anyway. So
That's insane.
I see why the Ravens always had such great defenses. They had no choice.
Need blockers just to get to the stadium.
Right?
So what can we do to help further this mission? We want to work, we want to help, we want to help people get elected that need to be elected, and we're here. We want to fight, and we're ready.
What we need to do, we need to actually, I prefer candidates like Byron Donalds who I will help candidates that haven't held office, but I prefer candidates to hold a lower office before they run for a higher office.
Okay.
Because you need to know the players. We need candidates for school board, because now you see what's going on with the school boards. A lot of parents didn't know how important it was. Now they're seeing how important it was. Do you want your kid wearing a mask all day or not? Who's making that decision?
Yeah.
You know,
Do you want your kid wrestling with drag queens or not?
Yeah.
Well, and that
So
actually
Washington.
happened where we're from in Washington. It was insane. Me and Brandon, we did a show about that. It was
they had a registered sex offender, transgender wrestling match with the kids in the school.
It wouldn't allow parents into the. It was at the library. They wouldn't allow parents into the library. But one parent was smart, and she left her phone there on record and recorded the whole thing.
Okay. Why would you never mind. You got Bruce Jenner in California. We were talking about that the other day.
Well, it is what it is. So, but yeah, you're right. The small offices, though, the big offices are super important, but small offices are just as important on the local level because your city leaders is what's going to protect you from the state and the federal, in the same way as your state leader is going to help protect you from the federal. You gotta get the base, the bottom. The base got to be strong, or the rest is going to fall. And
yeah, there's certain I'm looking for again. I don't know why I always forget her name. Like Byron is extremely effective because he's been state rep for 6 years. So I like people who know how to introduce a bill, get it through. But we'll see if we can we need to keep the South red. If the South flips, Texas or Florida flips, we're in trouble. If Florida turns Democratic, we're in big trouble. Yeah. And since we only won by 40,000 votes, there's a whole group of people that we've got to get out this time. And again, what we're focusing on is there's a lot of Democrats or independents that are seeing that the Democratic Party has moved too far left and are ready to vote Republican, at least this time around. So we're focusing a lot on those independent. I think there's going to be 20% of Democrats that we can flip to vote Republican. Yeah. And if we do that, we can actually grow in New Jersey, maybe even take Delaware.
That'd be nice. That'd be really nice.
Well, it's really cool because like my dad is 78.
Yep.
He's always voted Democrat his whole life, right?
Yeah.
I was just talking to him 2 days ago. I was down at the house, right? They live in dime boxes out in the country. And he was saying, I don't care how much longer I live, I'll never vote for another Democrat.
Right. Wow. Did he fight in World War II or something? Well, no.
Well, he fought in Korea.
Yeah, so he'll never vote for another Democrat.
He'll never vote for another Democrat ever. He said, I'm not gonna do it. I won't vote for another Democrat. He doesn't watch this YouTube show. He doesn't watch my YouTube show. He just out of his own. We're just sitting there, we're talking, right? Actually, we were talking about rattlesnakes at the time because they had just killed one, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll never vote for another Democrat ever. And I'm like,
you know, is people are coming to that. They're coming to that they're not going to vote for Democrats. They're not going to vote for Democrats. And I think if we let the Democrats alone, if we let Joe Biden alone, because here's what's going to happen going forward. We are in, what month are we in? We're in
August.
In November, another stupid, I don't want to call it a stupid move, but in November, I think it's November 1st, the eviction moratorium runs out.
Okay.
First. Now, most states, the states that are really hardcore, you got 10 months and then you're out of there. So you'll be evicted in 10 days. So you're going to have a ton of people being evicted right before Thanksgiving.
Wow.
And guess what? They're not going to get housing like the Afghanistan.
No, they're not.
They're not going to get free Airbnbs. They're going to be on the street. They're going to see this really happen. So in November, you're going to see people get kicked out because the Supreme Court has ruled on this. It's gone back and forth. This is the last time they can extend this moratorium for evictions. That's November 1st. That's going to hit a lot of people hard. That's mortgages and rents. Then you've got the student loan things where they won't be able to forgive student loans in February 1st. So I don't know why the Democrats have set this up, but they set things up for failure. Just Afghanistan, if you're stupid and you want to fail, this is how you would do something. Well, not stupid, if you were planning for failure.
well, and that's the thing. I can't believe that it's done out of stupidity. These are not stupid people. It's like there's a reason behind it, but I don't see it because it doesn't make sense to me.
I see the moratorium on mortgages and rents because Blackstone has been buying up property like crazy. Blackstone and BlackRock. You know,
Okay.
you don't
They've
even
been buying up entire neighborhoods.
You're buying up entire neighborhoods, property unseen. So they're expecting this mass failure of homeless people and the government to subsidize the rent. I think I saw today that there's still $90 million in rent subsidies that hasn't been picked up yet by families that are behind on rent or even by states. So Blackstone and BlackRock, they're, you know, the smartest guys in the room. They know what's going on. We're looking at, I don't even know if we should call this, what should we call, if a purge, if we're having a medical purge of people with this COVID thing. I don't know what this thing is.
Oh,
It's
for those of you who don't know, Blackstone and BlackRock are two large real estate companies. They're going around and buying up not only entire neighborhoods, entire city blocks.
unseen, sight
Unseen. And then they're doubling the price on it. So let's say, you know, single family wants a house. The house is $150,000. BlackRock is coming in offering $250,000, and you can't meet that price.
Yep.
Because nobody's going to finance you for it. But they have the money for it, and they're funded by the government. So it goes to, I forget who it was that said it, and this came out in the 80s, right? Eventually, you will own nothing, and you will like it. And that's where we're getting to. You will own nothing, and you will like it.
You'll own nothing, and you'll like it. That's a good one. That's
actually I stole it from the Tim Pool show, so. But
okay.
He talks about it all the time, and he talks about Blackstone and BlackRock. He's been talking about it for months. trying to raise people's awareness of like, if you can get property, get it now.
Yeah.
Because they're buying out everything.
I know they're going through Florida like crazy, and they're buying stuff. They're buying stuff that's only 2 bedrooms.
Oh wow!
And I mean, who buys a 2-bedroom house?
Blackstone, because they want to own the property.
Yeah.
See, here's the thing, right? One of the major things to creating generational wealth is property.
Property.
The biggest gift, if your parents should die, they could ever give you, would be a house and property that's already paid off.
Yep.
Then you can create wealth. So once they take that ability to create wealth from you,
you're done.
You're done. Because all you can do is rent for the rest of your life. I don't want to rent for the rest of my life. I don't like renting.
So
and my landlord is cool. I mean, we hang out and have beers and whiskey. It's like, I don't like this.
Blackstone and BlackRock, they're buying 2-bedroom houses that, in my opinion, wouldn't be worth $75,000 on the worst day. And they're buying up ghettos. They're not just buying some suburbs. They're pricing out ghettos.
It's like gentrification, and I'm pretty sure Brandon can tell you because we used to live in Washington. There was this place called the Hilltop, right?
Oh yeah.
Matter of fact, Sir Mix-a-Lot sang about it in a song. It was really, I used to go up there and hang out at one of the bars. I'd have my Jack and Coke, right? People thought I was crazy, but it's like, I'm used to hanging out in Third Ward, Houston. This is nothing. But there were shootings every weekend. But what happened is they brought up all the LA gangbangers, right?
Yeah.
Moved them into Seattle, turned the neighborhood to crap, came in, bought it for a little bit of nothing. But I had this, I used to work with this LPN. I call her Auntie Bonita. Very smart woman. She wouldn't sell, right? And so she said she would come in and the gangbangers would be in her backyard and she told them, get the hell out of there, kids. Older lady, she's in her 70s now, right? But she hung on through gentrification. And so the house she bought for $55,000, she just sold for $750,000.
Wow.
But that's what they were doing. They were trash the neighborhood and then buy it for cheap. And that's what Blackstone and BlackRock are doing now, but they're doing it on a nationwide scale.
They are doing it. They're doing it all over the place. And Biden's helping them.
Oh, Biden is so crooked, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, if my last name was Biden, I'd take up painting. That's all I gotta say.
Oh wow.
So what you guys are doing now is helping a lot. I mean, bringing awareness, letting people know. I mean, even the Democrats, like your dad, no, they're not voting Democrat. We just need to change the Republican Party from within. Our hardest job is to make sure that we replace Ronna, I would say before the end of the year, because if we don't get it done before the end of the year, we're not going to be able to bring the party together.
Well, I agree with that. And we also got to get rid of the rhinos.
Yeah. Well,
for those of you who don't know, a rhino is a Republican in name only.
Yeah.
We got to get rid of them. Because it really, honestly, if you look, most Hispanics, most Blacks, especially Cubans, I have a brother, Dr. Fax, right?
Yeah.
He's Cuban. His father's from Texas. His father's from Cuba. He won't vote Democrat no matter what. Cubans don't vote Democrat. They always vote Republican. But Cubans don't vote Democrat. So I think we actually, honestly, if we got out the Republicans in names only, if you actually put in people who want to help the people, that's at the end of the day, that's what politics is about. You have.
Well, here's the thing: 90 to 95% of Hispanics are Catholic.
Yes.
They're basically Roman Catholic, which means they are pro-life. If you go into a Hispanic house, you'll always see an altar to the Virgin Mother Mary. Absolutely. No matter what no matter what size the house, no matter how big or how small, you're dealing with a Catholic that has Catholic values and is pro-life. We appeal to Hispanics on that basis, which is why we're so successful with them. They look at us as almost a Catholic organization, even though we don't carry ourselves as one. But when we appeal to Hispanics, we do it in their language, and we do it based on morals. So that's why we can win the Hispanic vote. On the Asian vote, the first generation Asians are always business owners. The second generations always go to school and work really hard and take care of the first generation. They go to school so they can get a better job so they can take care of the first generation. So if you understand the Asians, how the Asians come along, then you can appeal to Asians and talk about education, because that means more than anything. Asians, they believe in business and they believe in education. So we appeal to them on those two issues. And we know we can get their vote. They know Democrats want to tax their money. They're looking at Biden right now. This $3 trillion bill is nothing but a tax bill. I don't care what they call it. Infrastructure, it's not infrastructure, it's tax. It's a tax bill. And it's going to tax small businesses first. So we will appeal to Asians based on, you're going to get taxed when this thing passes. You're going to get taxed another 15%. Now, they're not telling you, the IRS doesn't even have the rules yet. They haven't even written the rules yet. So, folks, if you think you're going to vote Democrat and you want to be self-employed, you're about to make a major mistake. You need to change your vote in 2022. So that takes care of the Asians and the Blacks.
Well, you want to hear something funny, George? My fiance, she's half Black, a quarter Asian, a quarter Irish, right?
Uh-huh.
Supposedly liberal.
Yeah.
Doesn't believe in abortion, believes in the Second Amendment, right? And so I was just asking her questions. You ever see, dang it, what's the show? It was the last Black Family show. Filmed in California. It had
Not Urkel.
Yes.
Ruby and all those characters. He worked in the office. He was an advertising guy.
Oh, I should know those.
So
The last one?
yeah, the daughter is asking Ruby, the grandmother, right?
Uh-huh.
These questions about border walls. She's like, we don't have a border already. People want to steal all our jobs. So I did the same thing to my fiance, right?
Uh-huh.
I'm sitting there and I'm asking her these questions. She's like, do you believe in abortion? She's Catholic.
Yeah.
No. What do you think about LGBTQ? And she was like, well, I don't care what they do as long as they don't push it on me. Like, well, what do you think about a border wall? She was like, we need a border wall. We have to close the borders. That just makes sense. And I'm like, honey, you're Republican. I think there are more people that are conservative that don't know, don't realize, yeah, you're really conservative.
They don't know because they don't know what the Democrats are getting away with. The Democrats are getting away, almost murder. Because
murder.
They are getting away with murder.
If we leave one American there, they're stuck. Mm-hmm. And I've heard from, you served 4 terms, so in the military, and I've heard from guys who say, "What do you mean we can't clear a street? That's what we're supposed to do. Clear.
It's easy. That's what we do. We could clear a path from that airport to the embassy in probably 2 hours.
Yeah, because once you pull out a weapon, they're going to run. They might put up a little firefight, but they're not going to stand and do.
Well, I don't know. They got our weapons down.
If the French are able to go over there and get their people
in the English,
what does that say?
The UK went in and did it. The French went in and did it, but we can't do it. It's like, really? It embarrassed me as a veteran. Now I'm going to start telling people I wasn't a veteran. Like, nah, I've been in prison. I don't know. No, I wasn't a veteran. I don't know what you're talking about.
I hope, I was talking to someone else like, this puts every American out of the country not at risk. First of all, they're telling you, we don't even know where you are. What's the passport for?
Well, you see, the Taliban is now, when you come through, they're tearing up the physical passport. And then when you get to the gate, if you don't have the physical passport, they won't let you onto the plane. So you get turned away. It's like, Who's
So-
running our military now? I can tell you actually who's running our military now. General Millis and people like that who are more focused on being woke and making a physical fitness standard that everybody can pass. Like, no, that's not how that works. That's not how that works.
I know.
It's frustrating. It's like, really?
It's frustrating because I know some friends that are missionaries in Africa, and you know, they're starting to feel nervous. So I'm like, but they don't want to go back to the US. They're like,
well, I have retired Green Beret and Navy SEAL friends. So what they're doing now in Kabul, right?
Yeah.
And I know this directly. I didn't see it on the news. I heard word of mouth. My buddy Bob, retired Green Beret, just got back. What they're doing now is they're taking the retired, if you're a contractor and you volunteer to go over, they're taking the contractors, the retired Green Beret guys. My boy Mac is over there. My boy Kelly's over there.
Yeah.
I could name probably 15 of my buddies who are retired special ops, and they're over there, and they don't get counted in the military numbers.
That's true.
So they go over and they do support and rescue
functions. So they
exactly, and they're not counted in the numbers
when they really have 6,000.
Exactly. So there's, like you said, we got like 3,000 people over there, but really it's more like 6 or 7 because they're not counting the retired guys who are going over.
That's crazy.
The private contractors. And they're getting paid crazy money. It's not like Bob went over for a week and he got $30,000.
Damn. He's going to need it because next we're going to be dealing with inflation by Christmas. Let's guess the price of.
Well, you're not joking. It's true. We are. And it's going up more and more, and nobody's catching.
What do you think gas will be by December, since OPEC said they're not going to supply us? They're going to cut their supply. And we don't have a pipe.
$5 a gallon?
After we were energy independent?
6 months ago?
6 months from now, I would say it's probably going to be about $7-8.
I think we'll see 7 or 8 by January 1st.
Well, maybe not where we are, but if you look at places like New York and Washington, because when I left Washington, there was already 5.
California was over 5.
Yeah.
So California, Texas, those places are looking at 7 by 1st, which means that's another thing that we can use to recruit more Republicans because I think we'll hit 7.
Well, I forget what politician it was that said it's all about the finances. When you hurt people's pocketbooks, you can't win votes.
You can't win them.
Which politician it was?
And food prices are going up. I saw something today that said the food stores expect to have empty shelves.
If you can, well, as I was about to say, if you can find it. I'm here in Texas. My little sister Stephanie calls me. She's like, "Hey, because you know how I have 5 sisters, right?
Yeah.
You know how sisters are. They're gonna make sure Big Brother's taken care of, right?" And she's like, "Well, what do you want for dinner?" It's like some chicken. She's like, they were in HEB. She's like, there's no chicken. I'm like, we're in Texas. What do you mean there's no chicken? My neighbor Gary has a yard full of chickens. What do you mean there's no chickens? But there were no chickens. And you're in Texas. It's like
there's no chicken in the grocery store.
There was no chicken in the grocery store.
That would get real bad real fast. Real fast.
Oh, so next is going to be no beef. So everybody, what are they going to do? Force us to be vegetarians and drive electric cars?
They're trying.
Well, remember that was their original goal.
Vegetarian.
They wanted everybody to. That's what Bill Gates wants. He wants everybody to be vegetarians.
Well, we're getting there.
But I was the last time I was down was April here in Texas. I drove my first truck down with all my guns. Another very funny story about it. Let me tell you about this racist ass cop, George. I get pulled over in Nevada. No.
New Mexico?
No. Arizona. I got pulled over in Arizona, George. Let me tell you what happened.
Okay.
This racist ass cop, right? Walks up to my truck at 2 a.m. and says, "Why are you driving so slow?" I was like, "Well, I have a truck full of guns." And he shined his light. He's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "I'm moving from Washington to Texas." And he's like, "Oh, you brought your hat and your boots and everything." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, I'll have a nice time." And I'm like, "Don't you want to see my license and registration?" He goes, "No, not really." And just walked back to his car. I'm like, "You racist bastard. Didn't want to see my license and registration." All I have is a truck full of guns. I think I had 23, 24 guns in the car. And they were all in cases.
You fit in.
Racist bastard, I'm telling you, Brandon. You gotta watch out for those racists. They're sneaky.
Yeah, they're horrible.
See, he tried to fool me by not being a racist.
It's a backward racist.
He's a
And
backwards.
he seemed annoyed when I asked him, did he want to see my license and registration? He actually seemed annoyed by it. It's like, no.
He might have got the memo that you're a white supremacist and decided, you know what, all right.
Oh, that is true. He's probably watching episodes of the Dan Dawson Show or DMB Presents Underground News. He's like, "Oh, that boy is one of us. I'm gonna let him go."
Well, you know, I thought about this morning earlier. You know, I used to be a really real, I'm probably still am, Richard Pryor fan. And, and Richard Pryor had this skit where going back to Vietnam when they brought the Vietnamese over here. He said, "Margot, ain't that little kid's eyes ever going to widen out?" So here we are again. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, Richard Pryor talked about this like 30, 40 years ago.
Because it's a cycle. It keeps happening. It's a cycle. And the cycle gets crazier and crazier. If you look in the 60s and 70s, it was the racists pushing segregation. Now segregation is being pushed by Black people. It's like, I do not understand what's going on, but this is crazy. Did you see the Black principal in Florida who segregated the school, Black classes and white classes, and it's a Black principal? I'm like,
I believe it.
It's like, I don't get what's going on.
I believe it.
I don't understand it. Like, why are you doing that?
That's crazy.
Oh,
it's insane.
We're going,
that's what the world's going down to.
We're going backwards. We're really going backwards on a lot of stuff.
Well, think about it. You're really young looking fella. Like you might be younger than me. But I remember we used to stand up and say the Pledge of Allegiance in school.
I said the Pledge of Allegiance and prayed because I went to my father and mother sent us, the whole family, all 5 kids, to Catholic school for 12 years. So that's probably the other reason I'm conservative. We had to say the Pledge of Allegiance and the Our Father every day for 8 years. And then in high school, they didn't let you could do the optional or moment of silence. So it was really funny growing up with all these kids from all these different backgrounds. And because, you know, if you could afford to pay, you went to the school. So that was it. It wasn't a racist school, and everybody was they actually separated the classes by your athletic ability. So the classes were very integrated because if you were smart, you were smart. It didn't matter if you were white or Black. They had
do
different
that in Texas too. Yeah.
Athletic ability.
Like all the basketball players are in one class.
Yeah.
Male and female, right? Yeah.
That's probably a Florida thing or a Georgia thing, but we didn't have.
But no, and today when you look at it, liberal cities and states really don't have that. And I really wish, honestly, George, that many more of our people, Black people, white people, talking about us regular people.
Regular people.
Regular people. You know, you're not elite. You know, you're not homeless, but you're not elite. You're just kind of in the middle of the pack. You know, you're doing your thing, you're living your life, right? Would realize how many conservative values they have. Me and the fiance have been together for over 5 years, right? It has taken me until 2 months ago to convince her she's conservative. She didn't realize it. I'm like, but you're what? No, you don't want LGBTQ pushed on you. You don't think it's right that teachers are having kids crawl over sexual predators. You're against abortion. You're for lower taxes.
Equal opportunity
like,
for all.
Right. And yeah, right. And it's like we have a video on the Dan Dawson show where I'm asking her these questions, and Brandon, you've seen it. And so she's slowly coming around to it, and it's like, okay. But it took 5 years of pretty much every day. And just little stuff. Little stuff.
It is.
It's really great. I mean, I was shaped by growing up around politicians. Like, I grew up around Congressman Stokes. He had a house in Silver Spring. A lot of the DC politicians, and those guys were conservative. I mean, these guys were extremely conservative. So the Democratic Party, I think what had happened is the Democratic Party pulled funding from anybody that wouldn't support abortion and LGBT, which is what they did.
Yep, that's what they're still doing.
That's what they're still doing.
Yeah. So even any possible moderate Democrat is not going to stay because they're not going to have the funding to win the elections. So it's either go with them or get ran over.
and they flip because that's the way they get their funding. I don't think a lot of Democrats really believe in abortion or LGBT or whatever they call it.
Yeah, the Democrat Party has their own fights. They're fighting like the Republicans are just as bad. We need to get.
I mean, how do you explain? And this is something that we can make an issue. How do you explain Reverend Warnock, who is the pastor of Martin Luther King's church, being a Democrat?
But Martin Luther King wasn't even a Democrat.
How do you explain that? And I've met his daughter because she's pro-life. I don't even think she goes to the church anymore. What's her name? Althea, whatever. Anyway, I'm like, when I found out that he was the pastor of Martin Luther King's church, I'm like, oh my God, King must be turned over in his grave. There's no way. I don't even know
why that dude says. Oh,
why would you?
And then they're giving passes to abortion and women are using it as birth control. It's like,
what is it?
So birth control is keeping your freaking legs closed.
Isn't it like 75% of the abortions are minorities?
Oh, yeah, but and only 3% are actually out of rape or violent contact. Think about it, only 3% of abortions.
Yeah.
Think about how bad that is. And understand that the lady, I forget her name, escaping me. I'll remember her in a second, who started the abortion clinics.
Oh, yes.
Was a devout, you know her, right? Was
yes.
a devout racist and wanted to get rid of the Black race.
Yep, that was her plan. That was her plan. So now we have a pastor running as a Democrat, which is, to me, is the most insulting thing you could do. And then call yourself a pastor. I don't know how you could even say that you read the Bible.
Because they twisted the Lord's words. I've seen it. Yeah. Even the Pope has done it.
Yes, this Pope is insane.
So think about the evil times we live in when you're twisting the Lord's words. That's why I always tell people, read the Bible for yourself.
So we're in the plague times. That's what my friend from Africa tells me. He says these are the plagues that we're living.
Actually, while you're joking, I've seen so many Facebook memes, right?
Uh-huh.
Seeing the plagues And I was driving from Dime Box, Texas, back home to College Station, right? I was out visiting my parents out in the country, out in the middle of nowhere, right? And all of a sudden, I'm driving my windows down. It's like 9 o'clock at night. Run through a whole sea of cicadas. Had to roll my windows up. And I'm like, a whole tree of locusts. And it's like, yeah, I'm starting to believe those memes now. And if you look at it, that's really what it's coming down to. It's getting, I don't doubt them. I think we're living in I don't know if it's the last days and times, but definitely a change is coming.
A change is coming. Well, the Bible, if you're a true believer in the Bible, it's not supposed to get better. It never, nowhere in the Bible does it say, you know what, the longer we're around, it's just going to keep getting better. It doesn't say that anywhere.
The fire's out. I mean, he's in I think he's in Nigeria. He says they're having some issues out there, and I haven't heard from him this week. I need to. He didn't call me this weekend. I got a new phone. That's why. I need to call him and make sure I talk to him.
There you go. Okay.
But yeah, so hey George. Yeah. So what do you think about like the far left wing of the party, like AOC and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar?
And people who never had any experience in any office, who run for office and win, should not be in office. AOC, what did she used to be a waitress, right?
Yes.
Or something.
No, hold up. So let's touch on that. She was a waitress for 2 freaking months. She grew up in a posh lifestyle. Have you ever seen her childhood home?
No.
It's humongous. 3-car garage, upstate New York, right?
Oh, okay.
So she was a waitress for 2 freaking months. Oh, big whoop. Big whoop. There are people with no life experience. That's how I feel about it. They've never done anything, never been anywhere. Have
life experience. They don't. They're not qualified. I mean, I don't know what they're qualified for, but to be in Congress, I mean, they can't even read the documents that come out of Congress. So,
did you know AOC has never passed a successful bill? Ever. Of course,
she can't write one. She can't write one or read one. I mean,
it's ridiculous. And then something else I've noticed, they do this thing, right? So I want you to watch this, George. Purple, yellow, green, and blue, and sausage sandwiches and hamburgers with cheese. They do the Hitler trick. They're not saying anything that makes sense, but they put plenty of emotion into it.
Yeah.
I've seen Tlaib do it. I've seen Omar do it. I've seen AOC do it. And honestly, one of the tricks I do is I'll watch their YouTube videos. Yeah. But what I'll do is I'll turn the phone off. So all I can do is hear, I can't see. I'm like, that doesn't make any damn sense. What the hell are you talking about?
And they're just doing this.
They're just, and let me tell you, like Tlaib, when she was like, I need private security because it's important that my life is here and just deal with it because to fund the police is gonna happen. It's like, you're an idiot.
They are. At least you can watch it. I can't watch it.
I watch it for my other show. I punish myself so my viewers don't have to.
I wish our viewers would go.
Part of them, I watch them and I'm like, oh, how did that happen? But
it makes
again,
your brain hurt as an intellectual.
There's more evidence that the Democratic Party needs to go. And
as a person with life experience, you've had life experience. It makes your head hurt.
I take politics serious as a heart attack.
It is because it is. It's the most prevalent thing in our lives right now. I don't care what anybody else says. Politics is the most prevalent. It's going to determine whether you have a job tomorrow or whether you're under lockdown. It's going to determine what your taxes are and how much money you have to spend on your family. It's going to determine voting districts. It's going to determine who's in charge of laws. Politics is by far the most important thing.
Yeah, because we're going to have some wacky districts. Watch the districts.
Well, and that was one of the things, George. I was like, you know what? I'm going to run for College Station City Council.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. I have to.
Yeah, to determine the district.
Yeah, even though I'm in a red state, so I'm not sure my views will go too far. Like, I believe in the First Amendment and the Second Amendment rights. People are going to be like, we all do. We really don't get your point. We all got guns. What are you talking about?
You'll get it done. Get it done. Well, this has been great. I really want to thank you, George, for giving us your time.
Thank you, guys. I'm happy to do it again. Just give me some notice.
Yes, sir.
I'm happy to do it again.
Yeah, because
thank you so much, George. Love having you on, man.
Need to get it out.
Let me know the edit, because I'll share it on my social media also, or I'll share the link, or put it on Black. I don't know how to operate my Black. It's just horrible.
Don't worry.
Well, I tell you, this wasn't even like an interview. It was just like an old friend conversation. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, but I know you guys are great editors.
Yeah.
Well, Brandon does all the editing. That's all
do the editing.
He's the master.
He's
the master of editing. Because if you're waiting on me to edit, this video will come out 3 years from now.
We got about an hour and a half worth of stuff here, so it's going to be a big video. But yeah, I will get it done. And,
well, we got a lot of topics. You got a lot of stuff people care about.
Yes, well, it's a very important topic, and there's it's that much stuff that's being affected.
Yep.
And we barely hit the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. If the Republicans can't make hay with this.
Well, it's not even, think about it, it's not even election season. Wait till election season comes around. That's going to get hot.
Well, I'm hoping that we're going to have, wait till you see the soldiers that come back injured from this little thing that could have been totally avoided. This wasn't even necessary.
Yep, agreed.
This wasn't even necessary. This is just bad planning. I don't even know how the guys at the Pentagon, they quit on Trump, but they stayed with Biden after this mistake.
Well, hell, they lied to Trump.
Yeah.
They lied about how many troops we had overseas.
Yeah.
That's called treason. People get hung for that shit, and they still did it, and they laughed about it. It's like one of the things, having been a former contractor for the 3-letter agency, right?
Yeah.
One of the things people don't get is how big the war machine is. There will always be a war.
Yeah.
Because they're going to make a lot of money.
Yep. All right, I'll let you guys go. I hear my door knocking.
Thank you, sir.
All right, George, it was great talking to you.
I will get this.
We can have you on again soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.